Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to start today and we'll start with the roll call.
Mark Hum.
Here.
Juan Cotton. Zaid Shamsi Basha.
Here.
Dan Waleski.
Here.
Evelyn Arcuyo will be absent. Dave Matthews
Here.
and Henry Polsky.
Here.
You have one.
Excellent. I will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Any additions, deletions, or reordering?
Mr. Chair, we do like to recommend a reorder under new business. We can move item D to the first item to be heard.
Okay. No issues with that. Do we need a motion to approve the agenda? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Approval of the minutes for October 4th, 2023.
I move to approve the minutes. October 4th, 2023.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on, swearing in of staff and applicants.
This evening, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say yes. Yes. Thank you.
So this is for anyone who's going to be speaking tonight, who plans to come up and speak tonight. Okay. Proof of publication. Do we have all the proof of publication for all 4 items? I didn't see. Okay. And we don't need a motion for that, right? So, no consent agenda, any board disclosure or any items on here?
No.
Okay. Then right into new business. Staff, would you like to take us through item B?
The item D.
D, sorry. All right.
Which one?
All right. So it's item D, and David is the first item.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right. Good evening. For the record, Scott Rodriguez with Planning and Zoning. The item before you is the City of Lake Worth Beach's Leisure Services request for the approval of 2 murals located on the south and east facades of the Palm Beach County Fire Rescue Station 91, located at 1020 Lucerne Avenue. Let's go right to the south facade mural will depict a scene with an American flag, historic fire department, and firefighters in lettering that signifies the fire station. Pays homage to the first Lake Worth Fire Department, showing transition from past to present. The east facade, fronting North H Street, will contain mural lettering that identifies the battalion and fire trucks. Next slide is showing the artist's credentials. The client has worked with Formula One racing and several other venues. And these are some of the renderings, murals that the artist has done. The project is consistent with the comprehensive plan, strategic plan, in particular, Pillar 3, which inspires arts and culture through city events and programs, and is consistent with the city's land development regulations as conditioned. Staff is recommending approval. Actually, I'm sorry, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Board review this information to determine appropriateness of the proposed murals. If the Planning and Zoning Board approves the request, conditions of approval have been provided. And that concludes my presentation, and staff's available for any questions.
Are there any board questions?
No questions from me.
In general, I'm in favor of it. I think it's great. I think we move forward.
Yep. Can I go ahead and move to recommend it?
Sorry.
I move to recommend approval of PZB project number 21-011-0001 with staff.
Oh, sorry.
No.
We don't have a motion and then public comment or? Sorry. Is there any public comment on this issue before we have a motion? Seeing none.
One more time. Okay. I move to recommend approval of PZB.
Sorry, one more, hold on. You're actually approving this, not recommending approval. So it
You're
would
making a
be
motion to approve.
motion, yeah.
I move to approve PZB project number 21-011-0001 with staff recommended conditions for a final plat for the cloisters.
No, you're in the wrong.
I'm on the wrong
No.
page.
Yeah. It's let me go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make this motion to approve PZB project number 23-00000021 for two mural installations for the structure located at 1020 Lucerne Avenue. The application meets the mural criteria based on the data and analysts in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any
Mr.
discussion?
Chair, hold on, I'm sorry. As conditioned. That needs to be also expressed in the motion.
Approval as conditioned, correct? Okay. On record, okay.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everybody.
You only went off.
Little anticlimactic there. All right.
I almost said the same, don't worry.
So back to new business item A.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Abraham Fogel, and I'll be presenting this item. So this request, actually this project includes 3 requests, which are PZB project numbers 23-00500018, 23-00600004, and 23-00600005. And those include a conditional use permit for the establishment of a cellar management company designated as specialty storage and specialty retail uses with accessory classes and tastings. And it also includes 2 alcohol distance waivers. One is for on-site consumption and the other one is for package sales. Here we have the location. It is abutting 3 rights of way, North Dixie Highway, as well as 5th and 6th Avenue North. Again, to recap, we have the 3 requests for the conditional use permit, as well as the alcohol distance waiver for on-site consumption. You will be the final decision maker. The alcohol waiver that concerns the package sales, you will be providing a recommendation to the city commission, since per our code, they are the final decision maker. A bit about the business. Bottle Holdings LLC is a wine concierge and cellar management company that will encompass approximately 6,300 square feet of the existing building. Their services will include storage, organization, education, and transportation of their customers' wine collection. The hours of operation will be at 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, although customers will have there'll be additional hours where customers can access their cellars, and a portion of the business does include deliveries. That's why they need the alcohol distance waiver for package sales. Here we have a property survey. And moving on to the analysis, we'll start with the conditional use permit. It is staff's analysis that the conditional use request as condition is consistent with the comprehensive plan, strategic plan, and the city's land development regulations related to protection of public interest and the findings for conditional uses. For the alcohol distance waivers, our code does establish standards in section 5.5D as shown on the screen. And it is staff's analysis that these alcohol distance waivers are not anticipated to have a direct impact on protected land uses and would not be detrimental to the surrounding neighborhood and public. Therefore, staff is recommending that the board review this information to determine the appropriateness of these alcohol distance waivers. So we are recommending approval of the conditional use permit with conditions. And as I mentioned, that you review the information to make your determination regarding the alcohol distance waivers. We do have our conditions listed on the slides as they were in the staff report. And the applicants are here with us tonight to answer any questions. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to say anything first or just answer questions? You don't have to say anything if you don't want to. Okay. So I'll turn it over to the board. Are there any questions, comments?
I have a quick question. Was there a mail out done to a certain radius to the residents and the commercial businesses in the area?
Yes, there's a required mailing within a 400-foot radius. The newspaper ad and the sign posting on the property, that was all completed 10 days prior to the public hearing as required in our code. We did not receive any written comment, just a few phone calls, just asking for additional information regarding what these requests were.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question, and maybe you explained it that way, but it's with the 500-foot radius of alcohol consumption or alcohol sales. I see where there are certain places within that 500 feet. Is this all part of the waiver that we're aiming for?
Yes, so because our city is very small, a lot of times when we have establishments that serve alcohol, with the exception of restaurants where majority of your income is from food consumption, you would not need a waiver. Oftentimes you are close to residential neighborhoods or protected land uses such as park, schools. So most often it falls within your radius just because of how our city is sited. And along North Dixie Highway, on this side, oftentimes you share an alley with a residential neighborhood that starts on the east side.
Okay, thank you.
We've had a few of these before and we expect to see a lot of them. We even discussed it. And I think we made a recommendation that we kind of loosen some of the requirements for waivers for this because there are so many of them within the city because of the distribution of alcohol sales within the city, for restaurants and for package sales and grocery stores and everything else. I don't have any questions or comments. I think it's a good use for that building. It's a really large building and I think.
Is it just going to be sales of wine?
Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily sales. I think it's more of a service that's offered.
The primary.
Testimony give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
And if you would say your name for the record before you.
My name is Max Catucci. Would you repeat the question, please?
Are you just selling wine there, or is it a package store? You're going to be selling beer and?
No, there will be. The primary purpose of the business is not to sell bottles on site. We will have that. We're hoping to have that capability so that a client could, who's storing wine with us, purchase wine that we could then place into their cellar for them. Regarding, there will be no liquor on site in that regard.
I think he mentioned beer, but it's strictly wine is what I'm getting at. That's not liquor or any other type of alcohol
Correct.
beverages.
I believe the licensing that we will pursue will allow for beer on site. But it is, we're planning on entirely wine,
Wine.
yes.
And your business isn't a retail sale. You're catering to people that are storing a wine collection and want to have it, insured, refrigerated, stored in a location, and then they would come and access it or have it delivered from you if they were hosting an event and having cases brought out and
Precisely. We have no intention of operating a bottle shop.
right. And then you would be catering to those, helping them build out their collection, get more
Precisely.
bottles for their collection type of a thing. So
Yes.
more of a concierge type of a wine.
But are you also inviting public for tasting events?
The public will be invited in the same capacity that the space is currently being used. There are, it's an arts gallery and showroom at the moment. There are a lot of public events there of that sort. We'll prioritize our clientele. Our clients are storage clients for any sort of tastings or events, but the main tastings happening on site will be if a client, for example, has, a dozen wines that they would like to showcase from their cellar for perhaps their family, friends, or clients of theirs, we would help facilitate that on site. So no, we will not be directly targeting the general public for our events on site.
Thank you.
No more questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Would someone like to make a motion then?
I do have one public comment.
Public comment. Sorry, you forget.
Somebody. So this is from Chip Guthrie, Sharon Properties, 424 North Dixie Highway, and he states that he would like to voice his support for the proposed changes allowing for a conditional use permit to establish a cellar management company along with wine storage and retail sales and tastings. This would be a welcome addition to our business community along North Dixie Highway. The property has plenty of parking and the current owners do a great job of keeping their building and property very presentable, which is an asset to our neighborhood and the city as a whole. Please make sure to thank them for investing in our community.
Excellent. Thank you. And there's any other public comment in the room here? Seeing none, we have a motion.
There's a few motions here.
There's a few that are optional. So do we have to do 3 separate motions for this, or can we do one motion? 3 separate motions.
3 separate would be best. Thanks.
Understood.
All right, I guess I'll get started with the first one. I move to recommend approval with conditions of PZB project number 23-005-00018 for a conditional use permit for the establishment of cellar management company designated as specialty storage and specialty retail uses with accessory classes and tasting events by LDR section 23.3-6 based upon the competent substantial evidence provided in the staff report and the testimony at the public hearing.
Do we have a second?
I'm sorry, if you can just say move to approve. That was my typo.
Oh, okay. It's yeah. I move to approve rather than recommend here.
As condition.
Move to approve with condition as conditioned.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, the second.
Okay, I'll tackle the second one. I move to approve with conditions of PZB project number 23-006-0004 for an alcohol distance waiver for the sale of packaged wine based on the data and analysis in the staff report and the testimony at the public hearing.
The package sales, you are just recommending to the city commission. And then the on-site consumption is the one you'll be the final decision maker. So for this one, we'd need it to be that you're recommending
Okay.
approval, please.
You can just say so moved.
So moved.
We're only reading
Thank
it.
Do we have a second?
I'll second, yes.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. One last one here.
I move to approve PZB project number 23-006-000005
Yeah,
Conditions.
yeah, that one.
with conditions for an alcohol distance waiver for on-site consumption of wine based on the data and analysis in the staff report and the testimony at the public hearings.
Yeah, motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Gentlemen, thank you. Welcome to the city of Lake Worth Beach. Okay, item item B.
This one,
Hmm.
SMR,
One is back.
or
pass
this
the
one,
gavel
you saved this.
on down.
Oh, no, you're right. This one's the last one.
So yeah, for the record, Juan has joined us now. So.
Oh.
Thanks.
Another board member, the chair.
En route from Miami, which is now Woodbury Drive in 6. Thanks. Well. Item C.
B, no?
PZB project number 21-011-00.
We're on B.
Oh, we're on B.
So it's you. We already did D, so we have B and C left. We did reorganize the agenda.
Okay, PZB number 23-005-00017 and 23-0400019, a major site plan amendment and conditional use permit request for 2 accessory outdoor storage use areas totaling 6,350 square feet. The subject site is located within the industrial part of Commerce I-POC zoning district and has a future land use designation of industrial. Okay. Yes, sir. Would you staff like to enlighten us?
Yes, we would.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, Scott Rodriguez, the Planning and Zoning. The item before you is 1105 Barnett Drive's request for consideration of a major site plan amendment and conditional use permit for 2 accessory outdoor storage use areas totaling 6,350 square feet. The major site plan amendment establishes the use areas and the shipping containers by revising the approved site plan, and the conditional use permit establishes the outdoor storage use at this location. The subject site is located north of 10th Avenue North between Barnett Drive and Detroit Street and is in the Industrial Park of Commerce zoning district. The subject site is surrounded by adjacent parcels that also have an IPOC, Industrial Park of Commerce, and mixed-use West zoning district designations with compatible uses. The subject property does have an active code case, and the violations are related to operating without a business license and maintaining outdoor storage. This application will address the outdoor storage issues. The site plan is showing 2 areas designated for outdoor storage. These are areas A and B. You go to the next slide, Abe. Thank you. There are a total of 11 containers that will be within these areas. And I'm going to put an asterisk on that. The containers do have to meet building setbacks. The additional items that staff did address in the staff report was related to traffic circulation and parking. Area A did not have any impacts on circulation or parking. However, Area B was recommended to be designed to not interfere with circulation and the elimination of 7 parking spaces. And the applicant has agreed to this design. The elimination of the parking spaces will not impact overall required parking. The project as conditioned is consistent with the comprehensive plan, strategic plan, and the city's LDRs. And staff is recommending approval with conditions. The applicant is here to address any questions. They also, in coordination with staff earlier in the day, do have some questions related to one of the conditions that we highlighted. It's actually 1A. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, will the applicant like to come and give us your words?
Good evening, Deborah Nichols, architect, on behalf of the property owner. I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Could you state your address?
755 New York Street, West Palm Beach.
Okay.
I just have a question. You know, driving around a lot of these industrial areas where I've seen new storage units going, I see a lot of outside storage happening around these units. And I'm concerned that we got to make sure that that doesn't happen in this case. There's a lot of it that I happen to drive around the different industrial areas with these type of containers. And then I guess they filled up and they start leaning things against the outside of them. And so I just want to clarify that that will not be the case.
Now, to be clear, this is a property that was purchased by the current owner, and so some of what we're dealing with today was inherited, and we're trying to clean up and take care of. So what we've done is comply with regulations, so any containers or storage areas are screened from the street, behind a hedge, behind the building.
Thank you.
There was a condition that staff mentioned that you had an objection to or wanted consideration on. Can you tell us which one and what the issue is?
So the one condition that the staff has is 1A, where they're recommending that we remove an area where there's existing gravel and replace it with ground cover. So we would like to have some ability to work with staff to see if we can come up with maybe remove some of the gravel and do some planning, but have a little leeway to work with them. We would be in compliance with the percentages of impervious and pervious, so that would we would be in compliance with that, but just have some ability to work with staff to come up to something other than removing all the gravel and replacing it with the ground cover.
So, and we can go back here so you have a little bit more context. There are certain areas here up front where there is the landscaping and the palms, and also here at the end where there is some gravel. So because this project is conditioned to a minor site plan, meaning we would work on the conditions with the applicant, we're comfortable in modifying it a little bit. So there's different options such as, removing the existing unpermitted gravel if necessary to comply with maximum impermeable surface limitations, because they might in certain areas, if they're not over their maximum, they could choose to have a gravel area where maybe you could have a concrete walkway. So that's within their realm of options, because it does count towards the impermeable surface maximum, which is 65 in this zoning district.
Gravel doesn't count as impervious, right? You're saying if they have room, they could replace gravel with concrete, but stones is not a.
So in our code, it does count. So
As which?
impermeable.
Impermeable.
So if they can show there's going to be a percolation rate of 50% or more, just like you would with a semi-pervious paver, we would treat gravel the same way. So they're going to recalculate everything with those gravel areas, and if they're over, then they definitely have to use living ground cover or something like that. But if in certain areas they would not be over, then they could have that option if they wanted to. I think they just wanted a little bit more leeway to work with us on the back end.
And I would support that in general. I don't think, like in industrial storage stuff, having, you're gonna have trees, you're gonna have some hedges, but having like grass doesn't usually requires irrigation. It's not something that that's as easy to maintain as mulch, and then mulch doesn't last as long as having kind of stones. So I would recommend that how would we modify that condition in order to provide the flexibility that staff and the applicant would need?
We can recommend remove existing unpermitted gravel if necessary to comply with land development regulations.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was a code issue, I just do want to remind you that obviously this site is designed for a certain amount. You're an architect and you understand that and you know what the limitations are and I can get this around. The biggest thing with industrial areas is what your long-term outlook is. And if I'm not worried about the things that'll go against having all kinds of different containers or whatever, because code enforcement is going to show up again and they're going to give you more tickets, right? So the long-term effect is what you really have to realize. And if they keep going back there and keep getting in trouble, they keep coming back to us, then it's a question of volume, right? So.
Well, I do want to be clear that this is something that was inherited, wasn't something that was created from this landowner. So we're just trying to clean that up. Get into compliance. That's exactly what we want to do. So we're not looking in the future to test that or to come back and ask.
I'm just, words to the wise, because yeah. Okay.
Just a question for the staff. Just some from my own reading on the table on the industrial park commerce where you have different base zoning districts and proposed. Is this where the accessory structural limitation base zoning districts 1,000? You have 2,080. I'm not sure what that means. Can you explain it to me, Scott?
Yes, the 2080 is the square footage of all 11 shipping containers. The outdoor use areas are a little larger, but these containers are accessory structures, and we're highlighting that they are exceeding the 1,000 square feet. So in essence, the applicant will have to remove some of those containers to meet that 1,000 square foot.
That's what I was getting at.
Yep.
Okay. Any comments from the public? I guess not. All right. Do I hear a motion for 21-011-00-001?
I can move to approve with conditions, including the modification of condition 1A to read, remove existing unpermitted gravel and if necessary to comply with LDRs and replace it with living ground cover. For PZB project numbers 23-005-0000017 and 23-014-00019 for a major site plan amendment and conditional use permit. Request to establish 2 accessory outdoor storage use areas totaling 6,350 square feet based upon the competent substantial evidence provided in the staff report and in the testimony at the hearing. And this is with the conditions as modified.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
We'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, vote passes. Thank you very much. Moving along, item C, finally. PZB project number 21-011-00-001. Consideration of a final plat map application of the Cloisters Phase 4 project located at 508, 510, and 530 South Federal Highway. The subject site is located within a mixed-use Federal Highway MUFH zoning district and has a future land use of mixed-use East MUE. Staff, your comments? Oh, and by the way, just a disclosure, I do live on between 8th and 9th, about 4 blocks from there. So just to say it.
Good evening. Again, for the record, I'm Abraham Fogel, and I'll be presenting this item. So this slide shows the location of the property and the plat that will be impacting it, abutting South Federal Highway. As you can see, it's associated with the last phase of the Cloisters project. You can see on the first image to the south where those townhomes are already constructed. And it's evident in this image, construction has not begun on this phase yet. Bit of background since this project has been in the process for a few years. Tonight, you'll be providing a recommendation to the City Commission for this plat. This phase originally received their approval back in July of 2019, and it allows the construction of 15 townhouse units. And this plat will accommodate 15 fee simple lots, and it also establishes a common area tract and a limited access easement. Additional utility easements will be recorded separately as reflected in the conditions of approval, which that will be required to be taken care of before the issuance of building permits. Here we have a survey of the project area. And here we have the final plat, which you can see the 15 fee simple lots. Moving on to our analysis and recommendation, plats are subject to the regulations and criteria in LDR section 23.5-2, which are the subdivision regulations. The site plan review team, director of community sustainability, and the consultant surveyor, which the city employed, have reviewed the final plat for compliance and provided conditions of approval. Staff is recommending that the Planning and Zoning Board forward a recommendation of approval with conditions to the City Commission. So this concludes my presentation. The conditions are provided on the slides, and I believe the applicant is here with us tonight and can answer any questions.
Is the applicant here?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, where is Rebecca?
Testimony you get will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, could you give us your name and address, sir?
Scott Langford, and this is 34 Red Line Lakewood.
Okay. Okay, so what do you have to tell us?
Oh, I don't know. What do you guys want to know?
Okay, I guess
This is a
everybody has
replat,
something to ask. but-
It's pretty ministerial, right? What we're doing here. I know we've done replats before and it's like public's come out and complained even in one instance and it was like, sorry, there's nothing we can do. So do we have any discretion or are we considering anything or are we just approving, recommending approval?
No, absolutely. You might, you have the authority to give your recommendation of approval or otherwise, or have any suggestions on the conditions, but.
I agree with Said that, this is something that's, I think this is a lot that's been, it's been gone over several times for many years and it's up for sale. It's been up for sale for a very long time. And I think that they have townhomes next door, which these would probably match them or something, or be close to them, or I don't.
Sure, the finished architecture.
Okay, so you're just basically platting them off and selling them as fee simple lots? Or,
I believe so, yes.
I represent the owners. I don't know if you want me to study it. I'm Dan Ryan. I represent the owners.
Do you swear to affirm the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
your address, sir?
My address is 3450 South Ocean Boulevard, Palm Beach, 33480.
Okay.
Yeah, we plan on developing this property. The owners feel like they want to develop it right now.
Okay,
We're gonna get as much approval. We're with an architect right now, trying to get some plans drawn up, so submit. But their goal is not so much to sell. They're not going to sell lots at all. They won't sell lots. They want
okay. They want to build the buildings to sell.
It'll match what's existing, obviously.
Will it be part of the,
Yeah.
of the one next door?
Mhm.
It's going to be part of the same one that's existing?
It'll be part of the HOA, yes.
Okay, so I would probably assume that the building
Yeah.
would be,
Makes
Pretty
sense for
close.
everybody.
right, okay. I mean, in this case, it seems like something it was already planned to begin with and pretty much approved, sat on for many years, so
Drop the ball.
I agree that this is sort of a procedural thing.
That's private, but
I understand.
we start going and build it. It's a nice project to see it finished.
I don't have anything else.
I'm familiar enough with this beginning of this project. I have no comment.
Yeah. I'd like to make a motion.
I move to recommend approval of PZB project number 21-011000001 with staff recommended conditions for a final plat for the Cloisters 4 project, phase 4. The proposal meets the applicable criteria based on the data and analysis in the staff report.
Here, second.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Okay, planning issues. There's always planning issues.
There is. I have an announcement, actually. We're looking to reschedule the January 3rd meeting to the
Because no one will be here.
January 17th meeting. So we'll be reaching out to the board on availability for that meeting, but we're planning on doing that.
That's fine.
Right now, we have so far 2 items that's going to be moving in January.
So not 1 week later, 2 weeks later then.
3rd week, yes, 2 weeks,
That makes
17th.
more sense. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
That's all the issues we have.
Okay, public comments. What would the public like to say? Probably nothing.
Crickets.
Yeah, crickets. Department reports, gentlemen. Okay,
None.
and board member comments. Those are always fun. All right, there we go. I think we're adjourned. Thank you, guys.